At the age of 95, Charlie Munger is best known for his steady role as the right hand man of investing legend Warren Buffett. He is the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway. Munger has had, by almost any standard, a wildly successful life, and a long one at that. He is nearly a century old. He never took a single course in economics, business, marketing, finance, psychology, or accounting, and yet he managed to become one of the greatest, most admired, and most honorable businessmen of our age. He was noted by essentially all observers for the originality of his thoughts, especially about business and human behavior. Bill Gates said of him, Charlie Munger is truly the broadest thinker he has ever encountered. Here is Charlie Munger's top 5 essential rules for a happy life.
If you wanted 3 children, you had to have 6 because 3 died in infancy. That was our ancestors. Think of the agony of watching half your children die. It's amazing how much achievement there's been in civilization in these last 200 years, and most of it in the last 100 years. Now, the trouble with it is that the basic needs are pretty well filled. In the United States, the principal problem of the poor people is they're too fat. That is a very different place from what happened in the past. In the past, they were on the edge of starving. And what happens is, it's really interesting, is with all this enormous increase in living standards and freedom and diminishment of racial inequities and all the huge progress that has come, people are less happy about the state of affairs than they were when things were way tougher. And that has a very simple explanation. The world is not driven by greed, it's driven by envy. So the fact that everybody's 5 times better off than they used to be, they take it for granted. All they think about is somebody else has having more now, and it's not fair that he should have it and they don't. That's the reason that God came down and told Moses that you couldn't envy your neighbor's wife or even his donkey. I mean, even the old Jews were having trouble with envy. And so it's built into the nature of things. It's weird for somebody my age, because I was in the middle of the Great Depression when the hardship was unbelievable. I was safer walking around Omaha in the evening than I am in my own neighborhood in Los Angeles after all this great wealth and so forth. So, and I have no way of doing anything about it. I can't change the fact that a lot of people are very unhappy and feel very abused after everything's improved by about 600%, because there's still somebody else who has more. I have conquered envy in my own life. I don't envy anybody. I don't give a damn what somebody else has. But other people are driven crazy by it. We don't get to live life on alternate career paths at the same time. Obviously, if I drifted into my present line of work at a younger age, I'd have more money now. But so what? you know, I always say they'll say when I die, how much did Charlie leave? And the answer will be, I believe he left it all. In the end, you're piling it up is not such a big deal when you have to part with it in the end. And so I do not regret. Generally, I don't think regret is a good. It's like envy and resentment, and a lot of other things. It should be generally. I don't have a lot of regrets that I could have done it differently, or that I had a failed marriage, or I don't second guess the past. I try and learn from the past and make decisions of the future, but I don't gnash my teeth. I expect that any human being is going to make a lot of dumb decisions, and I've certainly made a lot of dumb decisions in my life, but not as many as most people. Being able to recognize when you're wrong is a godsend. If you take a good bit of the Munger fortune came from liquidating things we originally purchased because we were wrong. Of course, you have to learn to change your mind when you're wrong. I actually work at trying to discard beliefs. Most people try and cherish whatever idiotic notion they already have because they think if it's their notion, it must be good. And I think, of course, you want to be re-examining what you previously thought. particularly when disconfirming evidence comes through. There's hardly anything more important than being rational and objective. Think of all the dumb things you can do in life. Think of the brilliant people who are just utterly brilliant, who do some of the dumbest things. You won't have any trouble thinking of examples. Some people are victimized by other people. And if it weren't for the indignation that causes, we wouldn't have reforms that we need. But that truth is mixed with another. It's very counterproductive for an individual to feel like a victim, even if he is. Best attitude is just to be cheerful about everything and keep plugging along. Therefore, I don't like politicians that get ahead by trying to make everybody else feel like a victim. They make my flesh crawl. I just don't believe in it. Of course, who wants to be a victim instead of a survivor? Feeling like a victim, you can recognize your position is bad and try and improve it. That's okay. But to have a deep feeling of victimhood and it's all somebody else's fault is a very counterproductive way to think. People don't even like being around it. It's really stupid. And yet our politicians build on it and try and make their careers work by doing something that's very bad for all the people they're talking to. And they think they're doing the world's work. You know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The first rule of a happy life is low expectations. That's one you can easily arrange. And if you have unrealistic expectations, you're going to be miserable all your life. And I was good at having low expectations, and that helped me. Also, when you get reverses, if you just suck it in and cope, that helps. I think you'll be happier if you reduce your expectations and if you try and satisfy them. And by the way, I think that's generally a very good idea. It sounds silly, but it's so obvious. You know how many of us are fairly content with pretty moderate success. That is worth knowing, because that's what most of us are going to get. There are certain behavioral rules. You know, Rose Blumkin had quite an effect on the Berkshire culture, and she created a business with like 500 Depression dollars that became a huge business. You know what her mottos were? Always tell the truth and never lie to anybody about anything. Those are pretty good rules, and they're pretty simple. And a lot of the good rules of life are like that. They're just very simple.